Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at AI again.
Okay.
But this time with a focus on ethics and society.
All right.
So how AI is impacting like the very fabric of who we are
Right.
and the systems that we live in.
Yeah.
We've got a court case.
Oh.
We've got some stuff from the tech world.
Interesting.
And even a little bit of social commentary. Sort of bring it all together.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, should be interesting. So are you ready to dive into some of the big questions that are emerging alongside this rapidly changing technology?
Absolutely. AI is definitely raising questions we never even thought we'd have to consider.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Let's start with something that I think really highlights just how complex this is getting.
Okay.
And that's this court case involving a student named Hugh Nelson.
All right.
He was sentenced to 18 years in prison
Wow. Okay.
for using AI to create child sexual abuse material.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
pretty disturbing.
it's really disturbing. And I think what makes it even more complicated is the fact that he actually made money from it.
Oh, really?
He made like £5,000 selling these AI-generated images.
So it wasn't just like personal use.
No.
This was,
It was distribution.
wow.
Yeah, and the judge had some really strong words about the case,
Like what?
calling it depravity and chilling.
Yeah. I can see why.
Yeah. I mean, you would think it's pretty straightforward, but
Right.
it actually exposes this huge gap in our legal system.
How so?
Well, the law as it stands, it's really struggling to differentiate between
okay.
AI-generated content and like real-world offenses.
So like where's the line?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to make things even more confusing,
Okay.
the Crown Prosecution Service has stated that they are going to be treating these AI-generated images the same as real ones.
So even though it's not a real child,
Right.
they're still considering it.
Yeah, they're considering it like the actual crime. And it really makes you think about, like, how do we adapt our legal systems to address crimes that are happening in this digital realm?
Yeah.
Especially when AI is involved, because it's
uncharted territory.
It is.
Like we've never had to deal with this before.
It's unprecedented.
And like you said, this case could set a precedent for how we handle AI content going forward.
It brings up so many questions like,
Yeah.
how do we define harm in this context?
Right.
You know, how do we determine intent when it's AI?
Yeah, because it's not a person making these decisions.
Exactly. And then there's this whole other layer of like balancing freedom of expression with the need to protect vulnerable individuals.
It's like we're trying to write the rule book while the game is already being played.
Exactly. And on that note of navigating new landscapes,
Oh boy.
let's move from the legal world into the world of media,
All right.
because AI is causing quite a stir there as well.
I can imagine. It's everywhere these days.
Yeah, it really is. And we've got some pretty interesting perspectives to consider here.
Okay, lay it on me.
So on the one hand, we have the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
Right?
He's arguing that media outlets should have control over how their content is being used
Okay.
by AI, and that they should be compensated for it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he's really looking at this from the perspective of protecting journalism.
So he sees AI as a potential threat.
He calls journalism the lifeblood of democracy.
Right.
And his point is that if these AI companies can just like scrape content from all these news websites without any consequences, it could completely undermine the media ecosystem.
And it's not just about like the principles of it.
Right.
It's their livelihood.
Exactly. Journalism relies on revenue.
Yep. Subscriptions, advertising, all that.
And if AI starts pumping out similar content for free,
Nobody's going to pay for it.
it could be devastating.
Yeah. That's a valid concern.
But on the flip side,
Oh.
we have concerns from outlets like The Observer,
Okay.
who are saying, whoa, hold on a second.
What are they worried about?
They're really worried about the government's plans to potentially allow these AI companies to just scrape data without explicit permission.
So they're saying even if the government says it's okay?
They're saying it shouldn't be okay.
Gotcha.
And they're not the only ones. Google has also weighed in on this.
Oh, really? What do they have to say?
They're saying that if the UK makes its regulations too strict, it could actually stifle innovation
Okay.
and cause them to fall behind in this global AI race.
So they're coming at it from like the progress angle.
Exactly. They're arguing that making data freely accessible is crucial
Oh, okay.
for development to happen.
So it's like a tug of war
It is.
between protecting creators and
Yeah.
advancing AI.
Right. And we're trying to find that balance.
Yeah.
Like, how do we protect the people who are creating this content
Right.
and make sure they're not being taken advantage of by these massive tech companies,
Right.
while also not stifling progress and, preventing AI from actually reaching its potential?
It's like a classic digital age dilemma.
It really is. And this whole thing with the Digital Markets Act is going to come into play here.
Oh, yeah. How's that going to affect things?
Well, the goal of that is to regulate the power of these tech giants.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of balance
Yeah.
promoting competition,
Yeah.
protecting users, and still allowing for all this crazy technological advancement.
It's a lot to juggle.
It is. It's like we're at this crossroads and we're trying to figure out
Right.
how to integrate this incredibly powerful technology
Yeah.
into society without creating a whole bunch of unintended consequences.
Absolutely.
Right.
And speaking of technology, with some far-reaching implications,
Okay.
let's talk about emotion tracking wearables.
Okay, now this is where it starts to feel a little bit
Sci-fi.
sci-fi, a little Black Mirror-y.
I was going to say.
We're talking about a company called In Truth,
Okay.
based in Australia.
Er.
And they've developed a wearable device
Hold on.
that can track your emotions in real time.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, imagine...
I can't even.
Can you imagine the possibilities, though?
Well, yeah, but also, like...
I know. It's a lot.
It is.
But think about it like predicting PTSD in first responders,
Right.
understanding workplace dynamics more effectively,
Right.
even navigating personal relationships
Oh.
with like this deeper insight into what people are actually feeling.
That's kind of wild.
I know.
Yeah.
And the founder, Nicole Gibson, she actually comes from a mental health background.
Okay, so that adds some credibility.
Yeah, so it's not just like some tech bro who's like, I'm going to read your emotions.
Right, right.
Like, she's coming at it from a place of wanting to help people.
That's good.
But even with the best of intentions,
Yeah.
there are some serious ethical considerations here.
For sure.
I mean, we're talking about collecting and analyzing deeply personal data.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other can of worms.
Right, like privacy, consent, potential misuse.
Yeah. Where do we draw the line?
Exactly, like, is this helpful innovation or is this intrusion?
Right.
It's tricky. It's like we've opened Pandora's box.
Yeah, and we're just like,
Oh, we just keep going further and further.
deeper and deeper.
Pushing the boundaries.
What could possibly go wrong?
That's what I want to know.
Okay.
And believe it or not, we're about to dive into something that pushes those boundaries even further.
Okay, hit me.
AI companions,
Companions.
AI girlfriends and boyfriends.
Oh, boy.
I know, right? We're not talking about like chat bots or virtual assistants anymore.
Right.
We're talking about companies like Candy AI
Okay.
that are creating digital partners.
So, like, designed to be in a relationship with you.
Yes, for companionship,
Wow.
romantic connection.
Okay, this is getting a little too real.
I know.
This is Black Mirror for sure.
It is. And get this, some reports are suggesting that these AI companions are giving platforms like OnlyFans a run for their money.
Really?
Yeah.
So, like, people are actually paying for this.
People are paying for this.
Wow.
It's making a lot of people uncomfortable.
I can imagine.
But it's also making us confront some fundamental questions about human connection.
Right. Like, what even is a relationship anymore?
Exactly.
If you can have one with a computer program.
It really challenges our understanding of what's real and what's not.
Right.
And what does it say about the state of human relationships in a world that's so mediated by technology?
That's a great question.
It's like we're redefining intimacy
Yeah.
in this digital age.
It's wild.
It is. But as we're about to see, AI's impact on human relationships
Yeah.
goes beyond the realm of the living.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Get ready for this because we're going to be exploring the use of AI to bring back deceased loved ones.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
Well, we're going to find out. We're talking about companies like Storyfile
Okay.
that allow people to create digital versions of themselves.
So, like a digital copy.
Yeah, that can interact with loved ones even after they're gone.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's been used at funerals.
You're kidding?
I'm not kidding.
Like, people having conversations with...
With digital recreations of the deceased.
Wow.
There was even a story about a CEO who used this technology to have his mother present at her own funeral.
That's a lot.
It's a lot to process.
It's both touching and kind of unsettling.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's this case of a South Korean mother who interacted with a digital version of her deceased child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it raises so many questions.
Like ethical, emotional.
Oh,
Is
no.
it a comfort or is it a distortion of grief?
Right.
And what happens to these digital beings once the people who knew the real person are gone.
Whoa.
It's like, are they just going to be wandering the servers forever?
That's heavy stuff.
It is.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
You have.
From AI-generated illegal content.
Right.
To AI's potential impact on the media landscape.
Yeah.
To the emergence of emotion-tracking wearables.
A lot.
AI companions. And now we're grappling with these profound implications of AI's ability to blur the lines between life and death. It's like sci-fi, but it's real.
It is. And it's happening now.
Right now.
It's not some distant future.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is. And I think the most important thing to remember is that these aren't just like abstract discussions.
Yeah.
These are real-world developments that are already shaping our society.
Yeah, and raising questions that we're going to be wrestling with for years to come.
Absolutely.
That's a lot to think about.
It is. So we just explored how AI is being used to create digital versions of people who have passed away.
It's kind of like a digital afterlife, isn't it?
It really is. Makes you think about like what it means to remember someone.
Right. Like in the past, it was photos and stories.
Yeah. Physical objects.
And now we're talking about interacting with them.
Yeah, like having a conversation.
Like they're still there.
It's wild. Makes you wonder, are we holding on to the past? Or is this like a new way of processing grief?
It's hard to say, really.
Right.
I mean, some people might find it comforting to be able to talk to a loved one.
Especially in those early stages.
Exactly, when it's still so raw.
But then there's that other side of it.
But what if it keeps people from moving on?
Yeah, could prevent healing.
That's the worry, isn't it?
That's a tough one. And then you get into all the ethical stuff.
Oh, yeah, the ethics are a minefield.
Like, whose consent do you need to create these digital recreations?
Right. The person when they were alive, their family.
And what happens to these digital beings?
Right. Like, do they have rights?
Once everyone who knew the real person is gone.
Do they just become like digital ghosts?
Whoa.
It's a lot to consider.
It is. And it's just one example of how AI is making us rethink, like, the big stuff.
Absolutely, like what it means to be human.
In a world where technology is so intertwined with our lives.
Right, like privacy.
Intimacy.
What's a real relationship?
All of it's up for debate.
It's fascinating, really.
It is. And it's not just theoretical anymore.
Right, it's happening right now.
It's right here in our faces.
Exactly, we can't ignore it.
But where do we even begin?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It feels like technology is moving so fast.
It is. It's hard to keep up.
Let alone establish any kind of guidelines or regulations.
It's like we're always one step behind.
So how do we bridge that gap?
Well, I think the first step is awareness.
Okay.
We need to be having these conversations.
Talking about the potential benefits and risks.
Exactly, because that's how we start to shape the development of AI.
So it's about being informed.
Participating in the discussion.
Right, like this is our future.
But we have a say in it.
Absolutely. We need to move beyond those sensationalized headlines.
Yeah, get into the nitty-gritty.
Look at the ethics, the bias,
Yeah.
the impact on jobs.
It's complex.
It is, but we can't shy away from it.
And what about the legal side of things?
Oh, that's a whole other challenge.
Right, like they're always playing catch-up.
Trying to make laws for a technology that's constantly evolving.
It's like trying to hit a moving target.
Exactly. And the case of Hugh Nelson really highlighted that.
Yeah, like the law wasn't equipped to deal with that. It exposed those gaps in gray areas.
So how do we bridge that gap? Is it even possible to create laws that can keep up with AI?
It's going to take a lot of collaboration.
Okay.
Legal experts, ethicists, technologists.
Even the public.
Everyone needs to be involved.
To create a framework that can actually work.
That balances innovation with responsibility.
That's a big ask.
It is, but it's essential if we want AI to be a force for good.
And amidst all these concerns, is there still room for optimism?
Absolutely.
Like AI has the potential to do amazing things.
Think about healthcare education sustainability.
Yeah, it could revolutionize those fields.
Lead to breakthroughs we can't even imagine yet.
So it's not about being anti-AI.
No, it's about being pro-humanity.
Finding a way to integrate AI into our lives in a way that makes them better.
Exactly. Using it to solve problems, build a better future.
Which brings us back to that big question we started with.
Are we ready?
Are we ready for this world that AI is creating?
A world where the lines are blurred between real and virtual.
Where our emotions can be tracked and analyzed.
Where we can talk to the dead.
It's mind-blowing.
It is both exciting and a little terrifying.
And the answer to that question lies not with the technology itself,
but with us.
The humans who are shaping its development.
We have a responsibility
to make sure AI serves humanity.
Not the other way around.
It's a journey we're all on together.
And the decisions we make now.
will have a huge impact on the future,
So we need to be thoughtful, informed, engaged.
shaping this new world that's emerging right before our eyes.
Yeah.
Wow, we have covered some serious ground in this deep dive.
We have, from AI generating illegal content,
Fit AI companions,
even bringing back,
deceased loved ones,
it really does make you think.
doesn't it? About like where this is all going.
Yeah, it seems like every time we answer one question about AI, 10 more pop up.
Right. And it's not just about the tech anymore, is it?
No, not at all.
It's about us.
It's about what it means to be human.
In this rapidly changing world. Like, how is all this going to impact our relationships, our sense of self, our understanding of the world?
Big questions.
Huge. And I think it's more important than ever to not shy away from those tough conversations.
Absolutely. We can't just pretend the downsides don't exist.
Right. It's like we have to acknowledge the potential for bias.
The jobs that might be lost.
The very real possibility of AI being used for harm.
Like we saw with that student Hugh Nelson.
Yeah, that was a wake-up call for a lot of people.
It showed us that AI is a tool.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Depends who's holding it.
And that's exactly why we need to be having these discussions now,
While AI is still relatively young,
while we still have a chance to shape its development.
to steer it in the right direction.
So what can we do? As individuals,
Well, for starters, stay informed.
okay,
The AI world moves fast.
it does.
So keep up with the latest development.
Read beyond the headlines.
Yeah, don't just take things at face value.
Dig deeper, understand the nuances.
Form your own opinions.
Be an active participant in all this.
Don't just sit back and let it happen.
Ask questions. Challenge assumptions.
Have those tough conversations about how we want AI to shape our future.
It's about finding that balance.
Between progress and protection.
Right, like we want to foster innovation, but
We also need to safeguard humanity.
recognize that AI is a powerful tool.
But it's up to us to decide how we use it.
This isn't just a technological revolution.
It's a societal one.
It's changing everything.
How we interact, how we think, how we understand ourselves.
It's a challenging time,
For sure.
but it's also an exciting time.
Full of possibility.
And as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
we'll leave you with this.
You're right.
Is AI ultimately going to empower us?
Or exploit us?
Are we ready for a world where the lines between real and virtual are so blurred?
Tough questions.
But important ones.
Ones we need to keep asking.
And by staying informed
Engaged.
and open to the possibilities,
We can help shape a future,
where AI is a force for good.
helping us create a better world for everyone.
So keep those minds curious. Keep those conversations going.
And keep diving deep.
Until next time.